Roger, give me that gun, Ron. Right along that back, baby. Aim hot. Clear hot.
Ladies, gents, how's it going? Ron and Gary here. I'm back with another Gallantry reaction video. Quick channel update. So, Brian Wood's book has arrived. This is a signed copy for Repeater, wasn't it? Repeater 1977. That's it. There's another example of my medication hit me. If you don't know, I suffered a life-changing injury about 8 years ago now, and I'm on meds for the rest of my life, and this is one of the impact of them. Anyway, so we got Brian Wood's book. Just to let you know, I actually bought this from him because it's such a fantastic book. This wasn't given. This isn't just something that I'm giving away. I found it so impactful, and I feel the system let him down so much that he deserves to be kind of repaid in some sense, and that's why I bought it. So if you haven't already bought it, please buy it. It's a cracking book. Like I say, it's not been given. I paid retail price, as you would, and I just think it's absolutely a fantastic book that everybody should read. So they're aware of not only who the enemy are whenever we go overseas, but who the enemy are when we're at home as well. Very important message there. Today I'm going to be reacting to Saving Private Ryan. This is the Omaha beach scene. The reason I'm doing this here is because I want to hit myself a bit of a kick up the backside. So I released a video a couple of weeks ago about a guy called Bob Hughes. We've learned quite a bit about him so far, but we've still not made contact with his family members. I want to put this on. I wanted to give us a bit of a shake of reality and to provoke us to get out there and find his family. Let's find Bob Hughes, because we're unsure, but Bob was likely involved in this to some degree. This is Saving Private Ryan. It's a Dog Green on Omaha Beach. I've been to Dog Beach. I went out with a bunch of young officers to give them a reality of war talk, and it was harrowing. It was harrowing looking at the positions, and throughout this video, if I do pause and talk, I have the pictures that I think I have, I'll put them up and just show how unreal and how brutal this must have been. Absolutely savage. Let's watch it. So the first thing I'm going to say here is, and I've captured it there at a perfect moment, this is 99% of soldiering. And what I mean by that is this is the moments that are almost boring. They never get remembered. They're freezing cold. They're in rough seas. 6th of June. It was apparently a very, very significant storm that was in, and the English Channel's never really warm. It's not like Mediterranean or kind of tropical water. It is always cold. So these young soldiers would have been absolutely piss wrapped, is a word that we would use. Their kit wasn't necessarily designed to be kind of waterproof, you know, so it would have soaked in quite a bit of the moisture, and it would have just sat against their skin and caused them to lose temperature even quicker. So they've done a massive crossing across the channel. They're freezing cold. They're stood pretty much with no space to be able to move, and as soon as that gate opens up, as soon as that door opens up, they're expected to assault, and they're expected to perform at elite kind of athlete performance levels. It's just unreal. If I think if I was in their situation, my legs would have probably frozen up. I would have been quite slow. My feet, your feet become a little bit numb, don't they, as you stand still? And to be able to burst off the ramp as expected, it's these are the moments that people don't appreciate, I believe. There's the cold, or is it nerves? Probably both. Another thing worth remembering here as well is a lot of these young lieutenants, no battle experience, normally fresh out of their officer training, and deploy them with a bunch of not necessarily conscripts, but people who were there to do the right thing. But probably, if it's anything like the British system, we trained our soldiers to a degree, but in all honesty, could we have trained them more? Absolutely. The level of training, whilst it was good, it could not have prepared them for hitting the ground, absolutely running. There's only so much you can do in a very compressed period. And to be able to look around and to lead these young troops whenever you yourself, you don't have any experience in this here, it's out of this world, isn't it? We talk about imposter syndrome. We talk about kind of, almost asking yourself that question, what do I have that can actually lead these troops? And young officers always get a lot of flack, but I have nothing but admiration for them. To be able to go into a platoon of inexperienced soldiers and to be able to take them on combat operations, it's humbling. They get a lot of stick, but wow, they do something that I probably could not have done.
Clear the ramp! 30 seconds! Got me with you! Forward right stick, start with side stick. Move fast and clear those murder holes. Want to see plenty of beats between men. 5 men is a juicy opportunity. 1 man's a waste of ammo.
Fantastic stuff here, and something that I done as a leader. Whenever you're preparing your troops to go and do something and they might be nervous, you reinforce the basics. You repeat it, you repeat it, you repeat it, so every single person knows what one another is doing. And if the worst should happen and you lose somebody, we can then fill that void, we can then fill that gap. It gets people thinking on, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And it prevents them from thinking, what could happen to me? Reinforcing those procedures, because you don't want them to think about what the other side could be.
Stand out of your weapons. Keep those actions clear. I'll see you on the beat.
I've got a photograph from this position. There was a group of about 7 young officers. I'm going to drop this photo in now if I can find it. There was a group of 7 young officers. The tide was out. They were in and around this area. I was looking from a murder hole that was in a very similar position. And I can remember sitting there thinking, MG42, I think they fire something like, is it 1,000, 1,200 rounds a minute? That's constant rate of fire, but it gives you an idea. That's probably what two times faster than any machine gun that the Allies had at the time. It was they actually nicknamed it the buzzsaw. And I can remember thinking, focal point, shooting down into a very narrow field, 1,200 rounds a minute. I wouldn't miss. I would not miss. And to think, these soldiers were stood there, the gate was dropping, and these MG42s knew exactly where those soldiers were going to be stacked. It's just horrific. It does not bear thinking about. Not only was it that they were there in that little short space, they then had a huge area of beach to cover with no cover. Like, you can see the obstacles here. They're not cover. They had to get over that before they could even stand a chance of fighting. There's no fighting to be done where they are right now. Just surviving. God bless them. This is something that they might not have prepared for. It's something that we learned in Afghanistan quite often. We would cross little tree bridges, just a plank of wood going across these really fast running irrigation ditches, and on occasion you'd fall off and land in them. Now, if you were lucky, they were shallow. If you were unlucky, they were deep. And you're carrying 50, 60 kilo worth of kit. And if you can't get out of that water in time, that's you. And all of your military training always tells you, keep a hold of your kit, keep your kit on. You always got to have your rifle on you. And yeah, we lost the number. We lost the number to falling in. We lost the number to vehicles rolling in, and them not being able to get out of the vehicle quick enough. Absolutely harrowing way to die. Absolutely awful. Amazing thing that the director's done here. No noise, sounds peaceful, sounds silent underwater. You get above it, there's death and carnage all around you. In my head, it has me thinking, it sounds nicer underwater. Maybe I'd want to stay here. What do you think? Comment below. That tink tink tink. I was on top of a warrior armored vehicle one time. I was sat just doing a little bit. Actually, I've got a picture of me on it. The rain was on and off all day. I'm sure I'm sitting in my Gore-Tex on top of an armored vehicle, and Bobby, the forward air controller, was out to the side. The boss was out the back of the wagon. And Bobby had to get out of the wagon to speak to the aircraft. He was doing a couple of low show of force. I think it was with the French Rafale. I think it was. And Bobby was stood there talking on his radio, and it was obvious who we were because we just had radios all over our vehicle, being the fire support team. And this crack came past us, and I looked over at Bobby, and Bobby had a puff of dirt lift up from beside his feet, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and it was almost as if we were looking at each other saying, "That was you?" And he went, "That wasn't you, was it?" And I went, "No, Bobby." And then he turned and legged it to the back of the vehicle, and then next minute I just got absolutely rinsed on top of the vehicle with a PKM. Actually, I've got one of the bullets off it. That's another story, and I'll drop that picture in as well. But I can remember like just dropping in through the turret ass first. No, didn't jump in, stand up or jump in. I just got myself in through this turret. And I can just remember sitting in this turret and hearing this thump, and it sounded like somebody had this massive hammer, and they were just going all over the turret, all over the armored vehicle, and absolutely smashing the life out of it. And Boss and Bobby and Steve-O, they were in the back, and they were just saying, Paddy, all right, mate? And I can remember just sitting there thinking, thank I'm not out and experiencing that there, because it just sounded horrific. And later on, whenever we battened up, we kind of got out of there. I think we called in an Apache on that day, and it sorted the rest out. Whenever we got out of the vehicle, I was looking around the vehicle for any impact points, and there were quite a few. All it had done was just taking the paint off, and you could see the impact points. But I found a 7.62 absolutely flat, and it just peppered the whole area around me. So that was my lucky bullet. I then kept that bullet on me. I wrote my name on it and said this was the bullet with my name on it, and I donated it to a museum along with all of my clothing and my medal. So little story, little dip from Gary there. But just whenever I hear these rounds hitting off these obstacles, the amount of research that's went into this is incredible. They have worked hard, and they've learned a lot. It's humbling how much efforts went into this to make it real to us. it's just, I just can't imagine how counterintuitive this must be. Everything in your body must be saying, hide behind the obstacle, stay still, it'll all go over. But what you have to do is you have to attack the source. You have to go at the threat. I can't tell you if it would have been effective trying to engage the murder holes from back here. I can't tell you if they just waited for the machine guns to overheat. Now, these machine guns probably, I'm sure they were air cooled. They'd probably have a change barrel, so a spare barrel on them. We used to work off the rule of 200 rounds. If you put 200 rounds quickly through a machine gun, you should change a barrel. Otherwise, you're going to start damaging the barrel that you're using. It is just a how do you make the best of a really bad situation? And I genuinely don't know the answer. I genuinely don't know what is tactically the right thing to do here. And the other thing is so I went to Point de Hoc as well. Point de Hoc is it was a coastal artillery battery. It was engaged with naval gunfire, aerial bombardments. U.S. Rangers put in a cliff assault on it, and I have no idea how they made that work. It is unbelievable. But the thing about Point de Hoc is the aerial bombardments, the naval gunfire had no impact on the German bunkers. They had no impact on them. Any damage you see on Point de Hoc bunkers is actually from after they were captured. The Allies done some explosive testing on them to see what it would take to break their defensive. The aerial bombardment, the naval gunfire did nothing to the German defenses on D-Day. These guys were rolling up on to well-prepared positions. What are you doing? Jesus Christ. This is so relatable to me. I had one of these instances, and it was whenever I actually received my award. I was treating a casualty who couldn't be treated. In my head, I was in this little space. I was just trying to do as much as I could, and in reality, there was nothing I could do. And I wasn't aware of what was going on around me. What was going on around me was there was lots of gunfire. There were bullets coming close. The enemy were 3-4 meters away on the other side of a wall. And I just had no awareness. I was completely in this little world of my own. And again, I'm going to talk about my buddy Al. Al just hit me this tap on my shoulder, and he was the person who brought me back to reality. He just turned around to me and he said, "Gary, mate, we need to get to work." And those really calm words, he said it in such a matter-of-fact way. He said it in such a calm way that it just brought me back into the real world. It really dragged me back, and it enabled me to get my shit together and to get on with the fight. But this is just such a relatable moment, and I think irrespective of how much training you have, I think irrespective of how much of a ground hammer you are on the ground, you've probably experienced something like this where the system is overloaded and the body just I think it's a mental reaction to try to keep you safe. It's a mental reaction to try to distance you from the reality of what's going on around you. But you need to recognize it. You need to regain control, and you need to get your shit together and get on with it. Everybody has them. It's how you recognize it and what you do next that defines you, and it defined me for the rest of my life. Looks about 12.
What the hell do we do now, sir? Sergeant, hold out! Move your men off the beach! Go! Hey, you guys! Get out of my ass! What's the rallying point? Anywhere but here!
I think this demonstrates one of the paradoxes of leadership for me. I worked in an old place that spoke about leadership paradoxes, and for me this is ruthlessly caring. And as leaders, you need to know when you need to be ruthless in the military. You need to know when you need to be ruthless, and sometimes ruthless is being able to leave your casualties in order to achieve the mission. It's passing them as he's running up this beach. And he's doing it at the same time because he's caring, because the sooner he gets that beach cleared, the sooner he gets those murder holes sorted, the quicker he can get proper medical attention to those people wounded on the beach. And it's something that the military leaders tend to struggle with afterwards. They're all right doing it at the time. They know what they should be doing, but afterwards it can have a significant impact on people. And it's a horrible one to balance, isn't it? At what point do you treat the casualty, and at what point do you leave them in order to achieve the mission so you can treat them?
Channel! Order, sir! You go somewhere else! I'm clearing this one! Come on, Briggs!
Sand has a really strange property. It can absorb a lot of the blast, especially in these days where the fuses, they were not as technical and effective as they are today. So what you would get is normally a point detonation round, and on sand it would take maybe a couple of inches, maybe a foot, for that fuse to be initiated and to set off the round. So what that means is that you can be quite close to artillery and mortar explosions on a beach and it have zero impact on you. Somebody who stood beside you can get absolutely fragged to bits. It's a strange thing. It's yeah, again, it's something that some people tend to suffer with if they were near an explosion that they were absolutely fine with, but somebody quite close to them was killed. Luck. There is no luck in this game, but you know what I mean. Absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely humbling. That was just the beginning of their war. Just the beginning. Some unbelievable experiences they must have had. Ladies and gents, this is why I think it's so important that we find Bob Hughes. This is somebody who could have potentially went through this. This is somebody who traveled halfway around the world to fight against an awful regime who were committing mass genocide in Europe. So I think it's very important that we honor, we respect these people. I want to find Bob Hughes. I'm going to link his video here now. Ladies and gents, please leave a like if you like what you've seen today. Share it on social media if that's your kind of thing. If you want to spread the message, I'd love it if you could spread the message on Bob Hughes in Lorain, Ohio. I've joined a couple of Lorain, Ohio Facebook groups, but I think they're more interested in getting snow plowed off their roads, if I'm honest, than they are in helping me find Bob Hughes. So please, guys, help me find him. Click that share button, and I'll see you again very soon. Have a great day. Goodbye.